Today is the day we've been waiting for. Crow finally becomes the schoolgirl we've always wanted her to be. But first things first.
Hi! Good morning, ご主人様!
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, let's go. Wait, what? Suddenly hearing an unfamiliar voice, combined with the sensation of the sheets being pulled off me, I sprang awake. Yes, it's the day we've all been waiting for. Crow becomes a schoolgirl. Freaking Dee Dee is back. How could this day get any better? Standing before me was a maid I didn't recognize. As if, hi, Dee Dee. Even while my brain was still groggy with sleepiness, I figured out what was happening right away. Dorothy Davenport. Oh, I missed you, Dee Dee. It's been too long. Welcome back. It feels like I haven't seen you in a long time. Aren't you my British Dee Dee? When did you become my China Dee Dee? The healing power of her pastoral smile hadn't changed a bit, but a thought occurred to me. Once again, no one had told me exactly what day Dee Dee would be arriving in Japan. Nature set up the same situation on purpose, didn't she? Well, anyways, do you understand what happened to me and all the others? I tried to patch down my morning bedhead as I asked her that. Monogatari? I didn't expect to hear that word in this. Then that saves me from having to explain too much. You know, I have a lot of decisions to make, Dee Dee. But, you know, I've already made my decision. Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure who has it the roughest. I lately alluded to it. Dee Dee definitely has the largest burden out of everyone to bear, and knowing that I wouldn't be able to accept her feelings made me pretty gloomy. How has your health been? Well, I'm glad to hear that. I don't believe that, but I'm just gonna say that I'm happy. Even if her smile seemed a bit forced, I was relieved to see her as energetic as ever. Yeah, pretty much. You nailed it right on the head. Does seem like something out of a very interesting manga. Hot-headed characters can be interesting, but at the same time, not great. Like, I really like Naruto. Naruto is an anime I very much enjoyed, except for Boruto. We don't talk about Boruto. I don't watch that. Naruto was kind of a hot-headed character. He just kind of, like, did stuff sometimes before thinking about it. I'm like, I don't really relate to characters like that. I tend to be very analytical and think things over before I do things. So I can't really relate to that. I kind of like Ray because he kind of thinks and he's thoughtful about people. I relate more to him. Dee Dee, you aren't jealous of me or something, are you? Good to know I have a weeaboo living under my roof again. I like how he just casually drops the F word. Like, I try not to say the F word. Like, I've started saying some of the other words. I know you guys were, like, wanting me to, I feel like. But, I don't know. I try not to say the F word too much. Well, I won't hesitate to take decisive action when the time comes, but I'm still as laid back as ever, so you'll just have to live with it. Just deal with it. Yeah, that was me growing up for sure. Aren't you just romanticizing that? Oh, now you're gonna use that to your advantage, huh? You're gonna be like, oh, I'm just a poor sick girl. Yes. Yes, we are, Crow, and that's what makes us fun. Different voice interrupted my conversation with Dee Dee. This girl. I suppose Crow wanted to know what all the commotion in here was about. Good morning, Crow. Once again with the Ohios. All dressed up and ready to go, I see. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, you haven't really gone to school before, so I feel like that would be very nerve-wracking. Dee Dee's like, what the hell? Glimpsing the human version of Crow for the first time, Dee Dee gave a shout of surprise. Yes, and it is great. Didn't you hear that Crow became a human?
そうですけど
Diddy cocked her head to the side curiously, but she's probably wondering why she regressed in age.
クロさんってこんなにスモールでしたっけ
Is Crow always this small? You think so too?
ああ我が輩も思い出してきた DD はこういう手合いだったな
Dee Dee's always been this way, and that's fine, because it's grown on me, okay? I've actually started to like Dee Dee's personality more. I could do without the mixing of English in there, because it's still very confusing to me. But I do have an interesting question. So, Crow is supposedly shorter now. I mean, she's supposed to be a second year? So that would put her at, like, what, like 16? Would she still be growing at that point? I thought a lot of women peak before then. Like they get to their height that they're going to be. I mean, she might still be growing, but yeah, she does look a little bit taller when she's in her more adult form, so I'm not too sure about that.
まるでご主人が分裂したようだ
What do you mean no better than me? Is that an insult? Yeah, that is quite an insult, right?
そうだな DD に失礼だった
An insult to
何をおっしゃいますかエクセレント
Dee Dee raised her voice without
まず
warning.
小ささに驚きましたがこのクロさんはファンタスティックな可愛さでございます何よりもお胸が親近感
What? Apparently having your chest size similar makes you sisters. Okay, good to know.
どう
Diddy was as cheery as ever, even being retorted at. This isn't so bad. I was sitting on the bed because I was still sleepy, but I couldn't help but smile. Just as life had started to feel stagnant, Dee Dee's arrival felt like a hugely refreshing gust of wind. A wind with the aroma of apples. Holo? At any time I think of the aroma of apples, I think of the scene with Holo selling the fox furs, and she's like, oh, you know, they came from a region where they like got to graze on apples all day. And it's really just because she bought a bunch of apples and they were sitting in the cart, so it kind of like had a smell of apples in there. She just totally hustled the guy. It was great. It really did make a religion of not taking life too seriously. You know, that's a good religion to have, for sure. If you guys don't keep it down, you'll summon the Demon King. You know, now that I think of it, this game is very iridescent of Konosuba. And I think I've mentioned that at some point. I don't know which episode. I think I kind of compared it to Konosuba a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. It has a very goofy vibe when they're doing serious things, you know? Yeah, they could all be Konosuba characters. It'd be great. We could have Megumin in here. They need to make a Konosuba visual novel. I'll play it. The frozen place, but it was already too late.
魔王だなんて世界が大変ですね
Oh, the end of the world is nigh, huh? Mitra appeared out of nowhere. Why is everyone getting so startled? Sup, my goddess, looking quite lovely this morning. Is that actually how Ray addressed his sister? Because that's the best thing he's ever said.
兄様をお許しします
I shall forgive you, brother.
ご主人様の代わりにいくらなんでも早すぎますそうじゃそもそも我が輩も DD もミチルのことは何も言っておらぬぞ朝から兄様の部屋に上がり込んでいるだけで罪です
Yeah, only Michiru could do that.
それに口にせずともお二人の無駄に動揺した態度で私への評価が十二分に伝わるというものです
Yeah, I kind of get the impression they think of her as someone who's gonna scold them. He's still getting upset. Oh, I just don't care what... I don't care what you do to either of them, but just get out of my
か
sight.
しこまりました
Dang, did she... Oh, okay. She grabbed him by the collars. I was gonna say, did she grab them by the ear like children? Day. Oh, we're getting called a traitor. What? It's a good morning, I'd say. Ohio. As their screams receded into the distance, I stretched my back deeply and inhaled the fresh summer air. Then I started screaming around. Screaming. I'm still on screaming, I'm sorry. Screwing around with my phone again, verifying the date, checking my email. Today was the first day Crow would be spending at school. And at the same time, today would also have been the day Miu fell from the rooftop. Oh gosh, please tell me that's not gonna happen again. Guess I better wash my face and get dressed now. Alright, to the roof. We go straight away. This poor woman just is allergic to roofs. She just has to jump off them. 30 minutes later, as I waited outside the house, a trio of fine young ladies soon appeared.
朝からひどい目にあったの。
Yeah.
まったくです。
Maybe for you guys, I thought it was quite entertaining.
二人しておバカなことをしているせいです。
That's funny coming from Michiru, because Michiru is the one that acts like an imbecile sometimes when she's just very horny in front of everybody else and doesn't even care to hide it. Oh, man, you've been apart for so long, but you guys still get along thick as thieves. You're gonna make your big bro a little sad having so much fun without him like that.
兄様はそちらですね。
Michiru giggled and gracefully held out her hand for me to take. It was like she was showing off for the other two. In fact, it was probably her intention to demonstrate that she was the boss of them. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Michiru is very, like, submissive, I feel like, when it comes to her brother, but then, like, her personality, I think, is more of a dom. So she has, like, this very interesting dynamic going on there. Why am I talking about this? Clever girl. What is she, a dinosaur? It feels like something straight out of Jurassic Park. That was what made her cute.
相変わらずご主人様とお嬢様は仲良しこよし、清しこの夜ですね。
Oh, come, let us adore them. Fitting, because it's almost Christmas time. There you go, Dee. Good job.
クリスマスか。
Ah, Crow, yep.
なんだか投稿も大所帯になりましたね。
Well, what is today? Today's the 6th? We have, like, 19 days. Quite a lively one for this hour in the morning, too. This kind of boisterous conversation certainly wasn't something which would happen if it was just me and Michiru walking to school together. And thinking about it, we've got quite an international-looking lineup going on here. Makes us stand out a lot. I don't know, what... Is Crow supposed to look kind of Asian, or what nationality do you guys think she would be? I have no idea. I mean, clearly Dee looks kind of like she's from the UK, but... Was one of her parents Japanese? Is that what I heard? I don't remember.
両手でも足りない花ですね。
Short one hand to hold these flowers. Yeah. You know, that's why I got two hands. I can hold one in each at least. Well, I've got a pink Narishiko, a sunflower, and a queen of the night, I guess. Yeah, okay. I think that's a good description. That stands to reason for me. I love sunflowers.
我が輩は美人か？
Yes. Yes, you are. You are the queen of this visual novel. Of course. It was so obvious from the moment I played it. Just like Satsuki was the queen of 9-9. Okay? Everyone knew it, whether you admitted it or not. Some people were like, oh, Sora's the queen. No. Sora's great. Don't get me wrong. But Satsuki was the queen. Crow evidently didn't realize what flower I was insinuating she would be. It's just a nickname for a night-blooming Cereris. Don't overthink it.
だが悪い気分ではない。
Okay, good. Oh yeah.
兄様、行きますよ。
Yeah, we probably shouldn't be late to Crow's first day. That would not be a good first impression. And I find that, like, when you're late to something, it just kind of throws off your whole groove, too. Michiru was clearly pouting as she pulled on my hand. Oh, you're right. We should get going before the train gets too busy.
置いていくでない。
Okay, then hurry up. We haven't even left yet. Crow trotted along beside us and grabbed the hem of my jacket once she caught up.
まるで親子のようですね。
I guess so. I heard Dee offhand comment, but I decided just to pretend I had it. Yeah, I don't want her to be like a daughter to us because I want her to be our love interest. And that will be really weird if she's more of a daughter. I don't know if that would be worse than us, you know, getting a relationship with our sister. We're just going further and further down a dark path there. The morning of the beginning. Okay. For both Dee and Crow, it was technically their first day of school, but I didn't need to give them guidance since they already knew the way. Yeah, they have more experience. then they should. Arriving at the station, we then boarded the monorail. Why are you laughing like that? Hold up. Crow was staring intensely at the prepaid IC card I bought for her.
そういえば兄様、もう家でお父様やお母様にクロさんのことを隠す必要はありませんよ。
Oh no, what the hell did you tell them?
DD さんと口裏を合わせて、クロさんもイギリスからの留学生だとお伝えしておきました。
Okay, that's actually way better than I thought it was gonna be. That excuse, I'll accept, okay? And we're suspicious about the fact that we suddenly had an extra one.
客人が一人増えたところで、あの屋敷の人口密度はびくともしません。
Okay, that's true. Taking care of loose ends was Mitru's forte.
私はついメイドさんたちのことを知っている挨拶をしてしまって、ちょっと大変でした。
I mean, that just shows you did your research about them. Maybe you already asked their names and came prepared. Good on you. Didi would need to put on her foreign exchange student coming to class for the first time act again. When you show up in the classroom this time, we're going to need you to act like you haven't met me or Makoto before.
主人様と誠さんがいるからフォローしてもらえるとはシンキングしてます。
Well, we need to look out for Crow too this time, so try not to fall back on us too much.
兄様、もしかして気づいていらっしゃらないんですか？
Oh no, what the hell did I not remember? Realize what?
いえ、まあ別にいいですけど。
Realize what? Hold up. Explain. I looked at Mitru curiously, but she just gave me a look that seemed like she had just given up on me. Was she trying to tell me something? Oh no, I'm just as oblivious as Ray. This is probably obvious. You guys are probably like, Justin, you didn't understand that? You're so dumb. We split up after changing our shoes at the lockers, and then, just like the first time around, Didi came in the classroom.
はい、皆さん、グッモーニングでおはようございます。
Ohio. I feel like that's like all I've been hearing the past so many episodes is Ohio. Naturally, Didi was in perfect form, since the curious stares from onlookers only gave her more energy.
私のネームはドロシーダ・レンポート。フレンドは DD と呼びますので、皆さんもそう呼ぶといいです。お待ちかねの転校生ですよ。
Always the transfer student, and it's especially bad when it's like near the end of school. That means interesting things, as I've learned from Haruhi Suzumiya. She's probably an expert. You know, Shuji, I don't know what to say. Shuji muttered, sitting next to me and taking in the whole spectacle. Isn't that kind of the kind of cheerful girl, the exact opposite of your type, though? I don't know, Shuji seems like a kind of, I don't know, kind of a... I don't know, would that be the right way to describe him? He seems like he's kind of a bummer sometimes. He's kind of a realist and just kind of... I don't know, I wouldn't say he's depressed, but maybe kind of acts that way, or maybe comes off that way sometimes. So I feel like Didi being like this like really bubbly personality would kind of like actually mesh together with his pretty well. I feel like opposites sometimes do attract, right? Just depends. I have my ways. As I kept talking with Shuji, more and more students gathered around Didi. The situation certainly brought back memories. Just give them like 3 days, they'll get used to it soon enough. The crowd around Didi was quite curious. They all wanted to know where she was from, how she got so good at Japanese, and much the same topics of casual conversations before. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what they asked her previously. But now, though, she was probably sick of answering those questions. Huh? When Shuji mentioned that, I remember that he was actually right. Crow wasn't anywhere to be seen, but we arranged for her to be in the same class. What's going on? Couldn't imagine Didi leaving Crow behind in the teacher's lounge. Hey, Didi. Trying to catch Didi's attention from outside the crowd, she picked up my voice and missed the commotion very quickly. Where's Crow anyways? Well, she has to come in. Didi then turned in the direction of the hallway wearing a friendly smile. Didi, don't... No. You can't say master. That sounds all types of wrong. Shuji was not alone in his reaction. The rest of the class recoiled in shock. Totally forgot about that. While stewing in my frustration over not being able to react immediately, I saw Crow peeking around the corner in the classroom. Then, after anxiously scanning the classroom, she saw me and ran over to my side. And to make matters even worse, she immediately clung to my back.
ご主人よ。我が輩を守ると約束したくせに、変なところに一人にするでない。
Oh no, this is gonna be a big misunderstanding. She the second one. He promised to protect her. Is this money's power? Can you only really buy love after all? The classroom exploded into a fervor of activity.
なんだこの我が輩キャラは。こんなのリアルに存在してたのか?
You know, Shuji, that's actually surprisingly perceptive of you. Good job. That's your light novel's doing the talking, asshole. Took out the pocket watch, but as usual, I had to tell Shuji off before I turned back time. Start again. I threw the pocket watch to the ground with all my might. That was great. Is this what Mitru was dragging my ass on about a monorail?
何急に興奮してるんだ、三髄。
Hey, I can be excited about things, okay? Shuji sitting next to me was surprised at my sudden outburst. Forget it, just talking to myself here. You know, I do it all the time. Brushing off his conversation. What is this music track? I don't remember ever hearing this before. Brushing off his conversation, or confusion, I wiped away the cold sweat on my back of my neck. I had become so accustomed to being addressed as master, I'd totally forgotten how weird I must have looked to everyone else around me. Not to mention, this time I had two people calling me that. Two! Dos! I looked around the classroom one more time. Upon rewinding time by 5 minutes, it appeared that Didi hadn't gotten to the classroom yet. Unlike the last time this happened, I talked to Didi beforehand about the exact moment at which she would make her presence known to everyone. If I stopped those two in the hallway, then this would be no problem.
皆さん、グッモーニング
No.
おはようございます。
No, no. Mother... Just about to dash out of the room, but the plan was quickly foiled. I was 5 seconds too late. That's about the amount of time it took you to tell Shuji off.
なあ、さっきから何なんだよ、お前。大丈夫か?
Shuji, my problems are more than you could ever know. I'm not okay. Even if Shuji was genuinely worried about me, that made it easy to figure out just how weird I must have been acting. Shit, if I tried to catch Shidi's attention now, I'd just end up in the same situation as before. I shook my head, trying to come up with a better plan. I could go over sushi right now. No, stop avoiding the issue by thinking about food, Ray. Bad, Ray, bad! Oh, frick. I wish Kronos would just show up and smote my sorry ass right now. Even if then, I wouldn't have to deal with this humiliation. Wait, I'd be too pathetic if I were to die over something like this. For the record, Kronos didn't appear. Goddesses never failed to forsake me. All those thoughts flashed through my head in about 5 seconds. Then noticing me try to curl up into the fetal position, he called out to me.
ご主人様、何してるんですか?
Oh no.
なんだお主、どこか調子でも悪いのか? 我が輩を置いていくでないぞ.
We can't undo this again. Then to top it all off, Crow barged in the room as well. Because why not? Of course, the room exploded with commotion. Wait, calm down everyone, there's a reason for all of this.
あ、レイ君、もうどうせだから一緒に住ませておくけど、私もレイ君好きだって宣言しておくよ.
Makoto, you're not helping. Oh my gosh, everyone around me is so dumb. Including me. I had heard one carefree voice from the back of the classroom, and that quickly got overpowered by the uproar of hollering from everyone else. Makoto, I thought you were on my side.
それなら私もご主人様のことはラブですよ.
No.
我が輩は違うぞ. 誤解するな.
That just makes it seem even worse. Oh no. Poor Shuji. He's like, what the hell just happened? He's so lost. So lost. This poor man. Like, can we just look at him for a second? He is so done with everything that just happened. He's like, what the hell has happened while you've been busy, huh? You've been busy getting with all these girls behind my back, not sharing. They were quiet because they wanted to hear my excuse. I got into this situation because it obtained a pocket watch that allows me to turn back time, and then I use it to experience all the different possibilities in this world many times over. Like, I could actually say that out loud. What if he actually, like, just did? He was having one of those moments where he's just like, oh, like, I got a pocket watch, you know, and allowed me to experience all these different times. He's just, like, talking to himself, and everyone just is listening. Only a passing fancy, I guess. No, they're cutting away from that? What do you mean? How do you get out of that situation? There's no way. Passing fancy. I never thought you'd actually blab on me like that. That was so great. Everyone's just confessing their love. Makoto's like, actually, I love him too. Glad to resentfully, but she just shrugged her shoulders indifferently. But by now, third period class had ended. We relocated to the first floor hallway, away from all the commotion.
私もこれから教室でレイ君や DD さんやクロちゃんとよく話すようになるんだよ。遅かれ早かれ噂になるんだから先に言っておく方が面倒はないじゃん。
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was just bad timing, just piling it all on me.
確かに。
Well, I suppose it's best to get that out of the way, but you could have at least said something to me ahead of time. You know what would make this even better is if, like, some other girl in the class that we've never been introduced to before fell in love with us too. Because everybody else is, so, you know, she's like, what am I missing out on with this Ray guy?
そもそも DD さんとクロちゃんのご主人様って呼び方を止め忘れてたのレイ君だし。
You know, that's not something a normal person has to worry about, okay? It's not something you would think of.
なんか変なことでしたかね。
Yes, it just sounds weird. Well, you know, you're staying at my place on a homestay and also working there as a maid, so I'm not personally objecting to it, but...
メイドとかご主人様とか響きがエロいよね。
Sounds like a good time to me.
さすが誠さん、分かってますね。ズーですね。
You know, people might read into it that way, and you still called me that.
オタクなめないでいただきたいです。
I know. Freaking weebs, otakus, you guys are the worst. Absolute worst.
ところで、クロちゃんどうしたの？
Makoto pointed at Crow. It's still been in silence this whole time. I keep trying to replace words. I don't know why I do that. I should just read what's literally right there, but my brain's like, nah, we're gonna replace that word. Seems like her brain blew a fuse because she couldn't wrap her head around the lectures.
休み時間も質問攻めで休めていませんしね。
Even with all that assorted knowledge Crow had gathered, she was still getting stressed out from having so many things thrown at her all at once. So more than all of us wanting to escape from everyone's prying, we were out here to let Crow relax a
この
little.
メンバーが揃って教室からいなくなったらまた噂になってるだろうな。
Yeah. Everyone's just gonna think that I have this amazing harem going on. All we can do is grin and bear it for the next 3 days or so.
私は慣れましたよ。
Already used to it, though. Hey, ground control to Major Crow.
疲れた。
Yeah, she's still getting used to the new body and everything. I'd imagine it's pretty tiring. Leaned her weight on me.
学校辞めたい。
No, you can't quit school. I know it's bad, but that was quick. I cracked a bitter sort of smile. It'll be lunchtime in an hour, so just try to hold out until then.
よくもまあ。お主らはじっと座って話を聞いているだけの勉強などできるな。
You know, you just have to try. I think you have a point. It kind of stifles one's independence or something. While most other students probably only studied habitually, I'd always been taught from a young age I needed to think for myself and study on my own time. It wasn't a bad thing since I knew I had to in order to lay the foundation for my own future prospects.
詰め込みの勉強だけど、それこそ将来何が役に立つかわからないしね。経済学とか心理学とか大事だよ。
You know, Makoto, I would agree with that. I actually think those are probably two of the most important things you could learn in school. It's kind of like how the human mind works. You know, we have a lot of social interactions you have in life, right? And then like it's good to know. It's just good to know about the economy if you want to survive. I feel like school just taught me so much stuff I didn't really need to know. She said it in a cute way, but is she planning to be the wolf or the TSE or something? Wolf of the TSE. Wolf of the... Nope, I don't know. I'm sorry. I like how you guys always are pointing out references in games I play, and I'm like, yeah, I would have never got that. I'm glad somebody else did. Makes watching anime easier. Isn't that the reason a lot of people learn Japanese? Either to watch anime or to play visual novels, because, you know, who knows if it'll ever get an English translation. For Didi, her hobby and her studies overlap. Bro lazily mumbled under her breath. Yeah, don't worry. You'll have plenty of more times in the future to be embarrassed by things. That's just what being a human is about. You'll get used to it in no time. Don't give her false hope. I hate this so much because it's about lunchtime right now and I can feel my stomach grumbling and they're talking about waiting for lunch. So like, you guys are going to go to lunch before I do. Girl each gave the last remarks and then we dragged Crow back to the classroom. Yeah, lunch sounds so nice right now. I mean, I ate breakfast. I made breakfast this morning, but you know, it's lunchtime. I'm hungry again. It wasn't very long before lunch break came. Once the long break period started, even more people came by to greet Didi and Crow. Didi naturally handled the attention without breaking a sweat, but as for Crow... we get a cute little mini CG of Crow. She was looking warily around her, and for some reason she was still clinging to me. It wasn't a big deal since we told everyone she struggled with Japanese a lot more than Didi did, but I still didn't want her using me as a shield. Hey, why don't you join Makoto and her friends for lunch? You know what this is called, Crow? This is called social anxiety. It's like another girl beside Miu with crippling social anxiety, I guess. Yep. I had that very much so when I was younger, too. Probably... No, I had it around that point in time, too. I feel like middle school through, like, late high school definitely had a lot of social anxiety. It got better around, like, 17, I think. Can't stop people from being curious about the new transfer students, so give it a rest. Besides, Didi's handling most of the attention herself, isn't she? Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at you. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the people playing this visual novel look at you, because, I mean, you are the best character, clearly. Because Crow wouldn't open up to our classmates as worded if they'd come to dislike her. It's especially difficult to predict how these girls in the class would react since they were so highly aware of social dynamics. But it didn't seem like people disliked Crow. I suppose you could say Crow was the yin to Didi's yang. Since Crow was shy, timid, and short, a lot of people viewed her in a positive way, like some sort of mysterious character. Yeah, I definitely think she's gonna be like a... What is that show with the really shy girl that has, you know, the long hair? I can literally, like, picture her in my mind, but her name is not coming up. Like some sort of mascot or a rare animal. Also, I didn't understand why, but for some reason the girls were all glaring at me. Did they think I was being overprotective of Crow? Chuji, who ostensibly understood some of our circumstances, came over and spoke to me with exasperation. While Didi and Crow descended up staying at my house as part of a homestay program. Chuji, you might be jealous of what I'm going through here. Might you be jealous? Mr. Honesty drives home another point. He actually sympathized with my situation. Is there anything you want to say to Chuji, Crow? I love this. I love everything about this. I hope we get along. Tried to get Crow to open up to my closest friend, but she was still quite timid.
サンズイがふざけたことしたら俺が制裁してやる
Hey,
か
hey. I'm not gonna do anything, okay?
ら。なんだよ
Why me exactly?
その黒って子がお前にしか懐いていないからだろうが明らかにおかしいぞ。
Oh, I see. So Crow is much more in line with your preferences than Dee Dee is then.
だからなんでお前が俺の好みをどうこう言うんだよ。
I kinda do, Shuji. I kinda do know about your preferences a little bit. I can't really explain why, but I do. I wonder myself. I couldn't help but grin at that. Well, we literally compared her to Miu, and he liked... Well, no, he didn't like Miu. That's a good point. He didn't like Miu back. I mean, that was kind of an important thing that I'm just totally glossing over because my memory is that of a goldfish. I don't know. I do wonder if Shuji's gonna end up with Miu in the end, or if we're gonna end up with her, or how that's gonna work. Maybe we're gonna, like, actually help them get together. That'd be kind of interesting. I just turned to Shuji and whispered Michiru to him. Yeah, because Michiru has a very different personality than Crow. And if he really likes Michiru that much, it's like, I don't know, what would he see in Crow?
これ自分の優位性をひけらかしてあまり周りに迷惑をかけるでない。
I like how she's being like super shy and timid, and then she just starts spouting at us like an angry mom. Oops, I suppose so. Crow was right to warn me. Well, anyways, Crow's a bit of a shy girl, so try to be nice to her.
言われなくてもそうするけどあっちの DD って子の方はいいのか。
Definitely, she's quite a strong-willed girl. Ah, I know what it is that he admires in Crow that Michiru also has. They are loyal to a T. I just thought about it. They're loyal to a T. They're very clingy. And clearly they like one person more than everybody else. Maybe that's what Shuji needs. He wants someone that's really truly devoted to him. And maybe Miu is too like shy and timid about it. He likes someone that can be a little bit more confident at times. Because I feel like Crow, when it comes to Rei, is pretty confident, right? And then Michiru, when it comes to is pretty confident as well. So I'm not too sure about that. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming ideas here, guys. I really don't know. After all, she has so much more courage than others. It's problematic at times. Then Crow pulled on my shirt. What's up?
少し空気の良いところに行きたい。
Oh, what? You feel sick or
そ
something?
うではないが息苦しい。
So you want some fresh air? The morning
誰
sickness.
に孕まされたのやら。
I'd hope nobody.
お前かサンズイ。
no, Shuji, no. Yeah, good. You tell him.
言い出したのはお主だ。
Yeah, but I don't know. Some people just get sick in the morning. It doesn't mean you're pregnant, okay? I know it's generally associated with pregnancy, right? I mean, I've had to go through that with my wife, so, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. You could just get sick in the morning. Some people get nauseous, especially if they haven't eaten. Like, I feel like I get pretty nauseous if I don't eat after a while. All right, let's get out of here then. Stood up from my seat thinking it was best to end this stupid conversation here. We're gonna go out for a
お前
while.
は戻ってこなくていいぞ。
Wow, Shuji, you are so mean. At least when I say something about you, it's because I have a reason. I don't just say that. Shuji said goodbye in his own way. I pulled Crow along behind me, like usual. Oh boy, we're gonna go to the roof. Please tell me Miu's not up here trying to fall off on purpose. Wouldn't have minded going out into the courtyard, but since I didn't want to go somewhere with a lot of people around, I ended up going to the rooftop as per routine. I wonder if Miu and Misaki are here. I had seen them up here a few times, but evidently it wasn't a habitual thing for them to eat up here.
うわ風が気持ちよいな。
Upon feeling nature's breeze on her, Crow showed happiness in her voice, which she never would have been able to show in the classroom. You did good back there.
偉大なる我が輩を子供扱いするでない。
Okay, well, don't act like one. I mean, really should have taken a video of you an hour ago. She was really bad at dealing with other
ビ
people.
デオ？お主はカメラなど持っておらぬだろう。
Actually, I do. Smartphones nowadays are all capable of recording video.
わあ、そんなこともできるのか。 本当にこの一台で何でもできるのだな。
Yeah, they're nice. They kind of completely changed how we do things in life. Crow seemed quite impressed as she fiddled with her phone once more. Her reactions were really natural since her previous experiences had been from my grandfather's time. Hey, quit messing around and eat your food.
我が輩は弁当など持ってきておらんぞ。
Bruh, this is lunchtime. What do you mean you didn't take your lunchbox? You wait here, I can go
い
grab
や
it.
我が輩のことは気にするな。ご主人だけでも存分に食べるがよい。
It's really not healthy for you to skip lunch, and if you're not gonna tell me you're on a diet or something, are you? I recalled a few girls in my classroom who skipped lunch for similar reasons. Yeah, Crow is extremely skinny. You don't need to be skipping food. But Crow just shook her head slowly from side to side.
ここまで人間に毒されてはおらぬ。単に腹が減っていないだけだ。
Oh, well that's good. Yeah, don't be poisoned by human ideas. Plus you must have really good metabolism.
朝から DD に付き合わされ、無駄に食べさせられていてな。
Ah, okay. I understand. If it was Dee Dee, I understand. Well, then I suppose you could eat later on. Just be careful, the lunchboxes can spoil pretty easy in this kind
分
of
かっ
heat.
ておる。
Just depends what you have. Now, convinced, I sat down on the ground and opened my lunchbox. Crow walked laps around the perimeter of the rooftop, perhaps to diffuse her stress from being in the classroom. She seemed like a puppy dog on a walk. Be careful, there's unfenced spots in this roof. Yes, please, please, I cannot stress it enough. Do not fall. Because I can't save 2 people in one day.
分かっておる。
Well, even if you fell, I could turn back time and save you at least once. I shoveled fried food into my mouth as I spoke. At that moment, Crow came back over to me and stared at me with wide
もしか
eyes.
して今日も時計を使ったのか。
Just once early this morning.
そうか。
Crow looked up at the sky with a serious expression as if something seemed to be troubling
や
her.
はり今回も我が輩は気づかなかった。
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess this crow is pretty detached from the watch, so she wouldn't know. That's what was bothering you. Until now, Crow had been the only one unaffected when I turned back time, but now Crow had just become another person from whom time had been forced to be turned back by my power. She understood what that meant, but just when she was starting to get accustomed to her new life, this came as another major shock to her.
よい。
You accepted that pretty
な
quick.
んだ我が輩が相手をしてやらないと寂しいのか。
A little bit. Son of a bitch. I'm in. Well, I guess that insult doesn't work on a woman. She said that she was only sitting at home alone, but this was how she acted once she started coming to school. It's just that Crow herself didn't realize the obvious fact that she was so much happier when she was by my side. No matter how much of a pain in the ass she could be, I couldn't deny that she was cute as hell. Nom 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 nom. Then there was nothing else for me to say, so I just leaned over my lunchbox and shoveled food into my mouth. Crow didn't push the issue
それ
any
にして
further.
も息が詰まらないのは良いが、日差しを遮るものがないと暑い
Yeah, I mean, it's the middle of summer in Japan. It's gonna be very hot. Crow shielded her eyes as she looked up at the bright sun. You're probably still feeling high-strung from so many new things happening, but once that wears off, that summer heat might turn you into a sloth.
な。夏バテとは、お主が部屋でぐうたらしていたあの状態のことか。
That's what I hated about living in places that were really hot. Because it's like, gosh, heat just drains me. I like the cold better because it doesn't make you tired. It's like, when you're out in the cold, it's just kind of nippy. It kind of keeps you awake. It makes you want to move around and, you know, helps prevent you from just feeling tired constantly. The heat is the exact opposite. Just drains every little bit of energy or desire to do anything. It's at worst. Alright, you saw all
まあ
that.
あんなだらしない姿は我が輩には無縁だと思うが、テレビで熱中症とかいうものを紹介していたな。体に熱をためるのは良くないのだったか。
Good job, Crow. Crow fanned her legs with her skirt. Hey, quit doing that. It's indecent. Well, I can see your
お
panties.
主は何を言っておるのだ。
Oh, no. It's the curse of the roof. Let's think about it, guys. Let's go back. We first saw Miu. We saw her panties. We've seen Makoto. We've seen her panties on the roof. Didn't see Dee Dee's on the roof, I don't think. Did we see Misaki's? No, I don't think it was on the roof, if we did. Dee Dee's we saw in our room. But this roof has seen its fair share of things. From people jumping off of it to stripping naked on it. For whatever reason. Crow looked terribly
以前まで
confused.
のお主はむしろ女子の下着が見たいと力説しておったではないか。
Oh, and he has. To be fair, it was unintentional. Or at least it wasn't his idea. So I can't really blame him for that, but... When Crow was a ghost, I couldn't touch her anyways. No one else would know about it if I saw her panties, so there hadn't been any risk of being called a molester or something before. But now, things like this could be a huge problem.
もしかして照れておるのか?
No. I lost for words since I did not respond to that. I was embarrassed. Just a little embarrassed since I didn't want to... Since I didn't want to see them, but I just couldn't come out and say, "Let me see him." Though that reminds me, I had seen Makoto naked on this rooftop before. That was pretty nice. My guy. That was pretty nice. Oh no. Oh no. Yep, gonna have to censor that. Because I don't know. Crow hiked up her skirt with no hesitation at all, and I just about spat out my food. As I was sitting down, they were right in front of my face. What are you doing?
何をそんなに慌てておるのだ?
I like how there's a picture of a frog on them. What the hell are you showing me? Like I couldn't be surprised at
お
that.
主が日頃から見たいと願っていたからと先ほど我が輩が言ったであろう?
Crow. That doesn't mean you should just flash them. Have some decency. That's not what I meant. No, never mind that. Just pull your skirt back down.
見たくないのか?
I could only mumble a response to the troubled look on Crow's face. The thin spandex which clad her legs became translucent in the light of day, which clearly made not only her panties, but the gentle outline curves of her tummy and hips plainly visible. Of course I wanted to see, but how could the same shit happen to the same guy twice? Does this rooftop have some kind of weird curse pertaining to seeing girls in a state of undress or something? They're acknowledging it. I'm so glad. How awesome is that? All joking aside, this was quite similar to what I went through with Makoto, but even if this was similar, I was a lot more excited about it this time. So much so, I had even surprised myself about it. Makoto showed a lot more skin, but a certain awkwardness and suspicion about the situation that curbed my enthusiasm. The summer sun combined with Makoto's candid personality given situation, a healthy sort of eroticism. But this side of Crow was dangerous, owing to the fact that Crow was pure and innocent, and also because she was oblivious to sexual matters like a child would be. This was definitely an unclean sort of eroticism.
やはり我が輩ではダメか。喜ぶと思ったのに不思議だ。
Well, you guys did warn me that there was, I think you guys just said there was one kind of loot scene. I'm imagining this is it. Why does everyone ask me that? If a girl asked me whether or not I would find her attractive with such a look of concern, how am I supposed to respond negatively to that?
まあ、お主が慌てたり困っている姿を目にすると、これはこれで面白いが。
Are you taking the piss with me? You stole that from Dee Dee.
いや、お主には世話になってるし、我が輩に叶えられる願いなら叶えてやりたいのだが。
Crow displayed her unconditional affection for me. Oh shit, my head's spinning here. She's dead serious. The beautiful skin of a girl was within the arm reach of me, so close I could easily reach out and touch it if I so desired. When I started touching her, I could even just shove my face. I could just shove my face in there and she would just laugh it off me like that tickles, I could imagine already. I could sense a breeze from under her skirt, which felt a bit warmer than the outside air and carried with it a pleasant scent. Yeah, it is a little messed up, Ray. And more than anything else, I would definitely... Miyu, save me.
どうした?
Miyu, on the rooftop.
ミユがいるのか?
Crow looked away when she turned to check her surroundings. At that moment, I took out the pocket watch and smashed it on the ground with all my might. I then suddenly remembered this was the day I used the pocket watch to save Miyu. But was she on the roof already? Did we miss her? Once time I turned back and found myself rubbing my hand in agony. I was in such a desperate rush that I just about smashed my own hand on the ground, too. Might have bruised my hand for a moment, but in its 5 minutes ago state, it didn't have a scratch on it. I could only feel the lingering sensation of the pain in my fingers.
急にどうした?
Girl who had been walking around aimlessly trotted over to me when she heard a voice. No, it's nothing. I instinctively held my hand, even though it looked perfectly fine.
刺さったか? この辺りに木などないが?
It's nothing, don't worry about it. Though honestly, I feel like I'm up a bloody tree right now.
つまらん冗談など思いつきもしなかったぞ。
Just seeing Crow standing around casually was making my heart race. Even with her clothes on, I could still envision her panties and the curves of her body, which is slightly underneath those clothes. Put my lunchbox aside and stood
どう
up.
した？
I'm gonna go get something to drink. I couldn't remember how the conversation had veered off into that territory, so I decided it would be safer just to get the hell out of Dodge for a bit. You must be hot too. Tell me if you'd like anything and I'll
お
buy it.
ごりか。それなら我が輩も一緒に行こう。
Yeah, I'm sure you will. No, let me go alone.
そうか。ではお茶を頼む。あ、いや、なんとも言えぬ舌に刺激のある炭酸飲料の方がいいな。
I've never once heard somebody describe a soda as being stimulating for your mouth. It just sounds really weird to say it like that. I held my hand up to my face as I talked. I couldn't even look Crow in the eyes right now. Maybe I just didn't want her to look at me in the eyes.
おろ。
I went down the stairs and headed towards the vending machine, but on the way I ran into Makoto. Evidently, she had the same intent to buy
レ
drinks
イ
as me.
君どこに？どうしたの？
What do you mean?
顔が赤いよ。
So it was. I furrowed my brow. It's summer, after all.
はい？
It's just really hot outside. Yeah, that's what it is. Nothing. Once again, I had to avert my gaze to get the hell out of Dodge. I couldn't believe how hot and bothered Crow got me. It wasn't just because she showed me her panties, though. Obviously, that was part of it. The fact that she had become so incredibly human was quite a shock to the system. She caught me with my guard down. Ooh, dang, we're skipping to nighttime. Okay. What happened that night? Crow came to my room again, telling me she couldn't sleep. However, the reason she couldn't sleep was a little different
明
from
日
last
が
time.
楽しみで眠れぬなんてことがあるのだな。
It wasn't the same anxiety and loneliness she felt before. She was grinning like a little kid excited for a field trip. Well, that's a sign that your day-to-day lifestyle is fulfilling. I'd say it's a good thing. That was my answer. The incident at lunch didn't have any lasting effects, so I was just fighting off the urge to sleep as we sat around chatting. Though the image had definitely been seared into my mind.
今日な、お主の勧めで学校に通うようになって思ったのだ。人として生きるのも悪くないと。
Yeah, you think so? I mean, it has some moments. I think it can really suck, but it can have its moments. I must have not been thinking hard about that. This was definitely surprising to hear.
この体の不便さや授業というやつには苛立ちもするが、夏の暑さも汗も、その汗をかくことで心地よく感じる風も、この夜の静けさも好きなのだ。何よりも自由に人間と触れ合えることは我が輩にとって刺激的だ。
I suppose from the side of someone who's never really gotten to, as she says, to interact freely with not just humans but the world itself, I feel like this would be a very stimulating and welcoming environment, right? It would be nice to feel all these different feelings and emotions that you couldn't feel because you didn't have that connection with the world. You didn't quite see it the same way they did. You got to like observe, right? But she really didn't get to kind of, I mean, I'm just kind of reiterating what she said, I feel like. She's talking about being able to like sweat and feeling the quiet of the night. These are things that she could observe, she could see that was happening to other people, but she's really now understanding it for herself. I feel like that's something that would really make you appreciate life more, right? It would be like kind of like a meh, like, you know, you don't really want to sweat and feel hot, but it's not something she's ever gotten to feel for herself.
もちろん我が輩の望みは神に戻ることではあるのだがな。
When things don't go exactly the way you expect them to, it's not all that uncommon to have more fun than you expect to as well, so just chill out.
そうか、それならよかった。
Crow showed me a sweet
ありがとう。
smile. What for?
お主が時計の所有者で我が輩を喜ばせてくれるのだから感謝するのは当然のことだ。
Yeah, Ray really does care. I really like that about him. I could only give that one careless answer, which I mumbled faintly under my breath. Despite the fact that nothing but sarcasm came out of her mouth before, Crow was turning into a surprisingly nice girl. Anyways, you should get to bed, otherwise you'll be tired tonight.
もう少しこの夜を楽しみたいのだが。
I'm getting tired, though.
なんだ、 我が輩と話すのはつまらんか？
No, it's quite fun, actually.
そうであろう？
Crow gave a pleasant smile, evidently pleased at my answer. And she quietly gazed up at the moon. She almost seemed as if she were in a trance. Ah, I understood then why Crow had become so human-like. She had gained a much wider variety of smiles than she previously had. Hey, Crow.
どうした？
I hate to put the I hate to put the damper such a good mood here, but living life as a human won't just be nothing but beer and Skittles. What? What? I don't even know what to say to that. You'll encounter no shortage of things in the future that you would find annoying or unpleasant. I said this to you before, but you'll probably start to feel those emotions sooner rather than later. Crow returned a blank expression. I had chosen to shoulder the responsibility of protecting Crow, so this was something I needed to tell her. For sake of example, you could say it's a bit like traveling to a foreign country. It's in the course of that journey, language barriers and cultural differences may cause hardships, so even those can become happy memories later down the road. However, choosing to settle down in a foreign country is an entirely different matter. Personally, I've done well at keeping good company with my friends, so you might not realize it yet, but there will eventually be people in your life who don't like you, and there will be people who you don't like. I just wanted you to know that. No, that wasn't quite right. Maybe I'm not the one to say this, but even if there are some individual people that you don't like, I don't want you to hate all of humanity because of them.
お主はやはり変なやつだな。
What's that about? I'm being serious
分
here.
かっておるよ。忠告はありがたい。だが、そうだな。せっかくの機会だ。少しだけ我が輩のことでも話そうか。お主にこういう話をする必要はないだろうと、これまで避けていたのだが。
Hold up. What is this? While I was trying to tell Crow something of importance, I suddenly felt as though she turned the tables on my conversation, which left me
我が
confused.
輩はもともと、お主の言う人間の負の面を先に体験してきたのだ。我が輩の時計の力を最も活かせる場所はどこかわかるか？戦場だよ。
Crow answered her own question before I could. The battlefield. That's not a word you hear very often in the course of everyday life.
人の尺度で長い時を我が輩は観察者として過ごしたが、過去時計の力が最も尊ばれたのは戦場だ。
Crow reiterated her statement
時
to
計
me.
の力があればどれだけの傷を負おうとも命さえ残していれば無傷の状態に戻れる。たとえ爆撃で体を吹き飛ばされようとも時計も同時に壊れることで死をなかったことにできる。アマツさえそういう経験を知っていることで相手に逆襲をすることさえ可能だ。つまり生きるために人が人を殺す光景と他人を殺すために力が振るわれる場所が我が輩の居場所だったのだ。そして現代においても戦場は経済に形を変えて存在している。お主の暮らす沢渡りのこの屋敷も一握りの人間には過ぎた勝利の産物だ。別の誰かが成功したかもしれない未来を潰した上で成り立っている余分な富だ。我が輩にとっての人間はそういう生臭い死と欲望の塊だったのだ。
It's very interesting. Because, I mean, that's a good point. That's probably what the watch would have been used for, especially... I don't know. I feel like we're in a rare time right now where there still is war going on. Like, don't get me wrong. I realize that. But this is probably one of the most peaceful times the world has ever seen. Like, we are genuinely... you know, depending on where you live in the world, like, we're genuinely, like, in some of the safest times we've ever been. I know it probably feels very uncertain to a lot of people, and myself included, right? It always feels like there's things changing that could really affect your life and ruin everything you have. But for the most part, like, we are in a kind of a time of peace, and I would imagine the watch would have definitely been used in the day-to-day moments to really you know, just change the battlefield. If you could go back even 5 minutes, 5 minutes can be a long time in a battlefield, you know? If you know that you're about to get attacked or bombed or something and the watch breaks or you break it, you know, you could get out of there. 5 minutes is enough time to really like change where you are and what you're doing when it comes to something where every second matters. So yeah, I could definitely see the watch being used in that way. And it's interesting that she's kind of comparing it to nowadays where it's like more economics. I feel like we see that nowadays, like where countries are battling more using wealth rather than using weapons, which is probably the smarter way to do it, right? Because you want to build up your own wealth. You'd rather just continue to build up wealth than war, which destroys it, right? I mean, it can build up wealth for countries, but at the same time, it also destroys areas. And you have to rebuild those, or you know, it kills people. It's just, I feel like a war of economics is more of a war people would want to fight. But yeah, it's interesting. She's like, well, humans have always been that way. And in her experience, they've always been that way with the people who've used the watch. They've always used it to further their own goals or their, I don't know, they've used it pretty selfishly. And if we look back, Ray has kind of been a different person when it comes to using the watch. I feel like he's very much used it, well, of course, for himself, right? He uses it to get himself into better situations, but it's not really always to save himself or, you know, kind of how it's been used before, maybe on a battlefield. He's used it, you know, to save Miu from falling off the roof. Just things like that, or he's used it to know what drinks that Misaki and Miu like. Like he's used it very you could say that does benefit him, and yeah, that's true, but it's not like he's using it to rewind time and then be able to kill someone who was going to kill him, right? I feel like he's using it with good intentions. And I think that's something that Crow's probably never seen somebody do before. And so I kind of get where she's coming from with this kind of deep conversation. My eyes were agape. Crow had never been one to talk about herself, so asking her about her past had never occurred to me. I never realized what manner of horrors Crow had seen. Oh, I tried to say something to follow up on everything she told me, but I didn't even know what I could say about it all. All the same, Crow showed me a gentle smile.
そのような顔をするでない。だから、我が輩はご主人に感謝しておるという話なのだぞ。
Yeah, I really feel like Ray's shown her like a different side of humanity and a different side of life than she's ever seen. And it's interesting because Ray just was talking about let me go back up real quick. Yeah, so he's having this conversation and he's telling her like, okay, don't judge. Even if there's some individual people that you don't like, I don't want you to hate all of humanity because of them. Which is kind of interesting considering her past. She's probably had a lot of people that maybe she did or didn't care about, you know? Maybe she judged them like, oh, they're just using the watch for themselves again to make sure that they can live and another person dies, you know? Definitely a different perspective coming from Ray.
そんな我が輩の力を、お主は恋愛だの、女子との繁殖だの、他人のためだのと、つまらないことにしか使わなかった。もちろん、時代や環境に恵まれているというのはあるだろう。
I was going to point that out as well, but I kind of wanted more of a segue into it because yeah, I mean it is a different point in time too. Like I don't want to dismiss everything because it's like I said, this is kind of a more peaceful time we're living in modern times, and you know, back then that was a big part of people's lives. Maybe it was war, fighting or defending yourself, you know. There wasn't all the guarantees and protections we have now, or I don't even know if I would say guarantees. Nothing's guaranteed, right? But we have a lot of societal protection. I feel like we're very stable. Let's say that at the moment. We're very stable, and that's not something they had in the past. So it would make sense that you would use it maybe more in a way I would consider selfish, right? But he's using it more for romance and things like that. Things that maybe I guess were still important back then, but you know, it wasn't life or death, right? Romance isn't a life or death thing. Unless you watch Love is War, which is a good show, or I'm sure it's a good manga too.
だがそんなつまらないことが我が輩にも面白かった。
Yeah, I guess the point I was trying to make is that Crow is seeing, regardless of what's going on in the era right now, she's seeing something she hasn't really gotten to see before.
そして今やその面白さに自分で触れることができる。人を嫌いにはならんよ。好きになってしまったことは我が輩にとって予想外だったかもしれないがな。それだけだ。
Crow ended the conversation there, just as if she had closed the book, or closed the cover on a book she had just finished reading. I see. Those two words were all I needed to say in response. Crow understood humans. For her, happiness was simply living day to day without seeing such horrors. She understood just how precious that was, and in all honesty, since I was lucky enough to have been born in modern-day Japan, that kind of ordinary happiness was something I took completely for granted. But there was no helping that.
ずいぶんと長話をしてしまったな。
Yeah, especially on my part, I just started talking, and I was like, "Wow, okay, I'm sorry that got a little ranty." I know you guys always tell me you like hearing my conversations. Like I'm not apologizing for having thoughts, because I mean clearly you're watching me play a game because you like my insight and you like my voice. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like to drag it out too long because I know it gets kind of boring if I'm just sitting there talking about life, you know, for 10 minutes. Sure, you would like to have that more sprinkled in. That's what I'm apologizing for. I'd like to sprinkle it in over time, so I feel like I'm still making progress. Crow yawned out loud. If you're enjoying conversing so much, then I wouldn't mind staying up a bit
さ
longer.
っきとお互いに言ってることが逆になっているぞ。
You're right, well maybe I should turn in too. I yawned too, as if it were contagious. Yeah, it was time to sleep. Until tomorrow, when I'd be able to see all the different varieties of smiles Crow had attained once more. Ooh, I really like that last line. See all the varieties of smiles Crow's attained. Yeah, like I said though, this route has been really, really good. I really like the perspectives we're getting.
そろそろ本格的な夏ですね。
Summer's truly in its prime now. I'm guessing did we cut to the break? Spring break or summer break? Yeah, but like I said, I really like this route. I feel like it's had a good mixture of like laughs, like it's been really funny, it's been really hype. There's been a lot of like interesting things going on. And then I like these deep conversations. I always like when a game makes me think. I think for me though, it's hard. I'm not really used to like kind of voicing my thoughts out loud on things like that, and I think that's why I apologize a lot when I rant on, because I'm like really just trying to talk and then like hopefully gather my thoughts as I'm saying things. I'm more of someone who likes to like type. I like to like type my thoughts where I can edit it and just quickly change it, you know, before like posting it. I like to really have it built out and thought out before I say something. So it's a little bit different when I'm having to like kind of do it on the fly. Because you guys mention things to me sometimes in comments that like I thought about, but maybe I didn't think about in the moment when I'm talking. I don't know. So I like having more time to really like think and digest things. And that really helps me personally. So it's kind of hard when I have to talk out loud and say it. Anyways, enough about me. Let's end the episode here. I think this was a solid end to it. I really enjoyed that conversation and that perspective from Crow. I really like how they're building her character up right now. It's really nice. Anyways, guys, appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next episode. Have a good one.